This is Nick Nilsson, Mad Scientist of Muscle, and what I've got for you today here is a little something that I call calf deadlifts. Now, how do you work your calves when you're training deadlifts? They are involved even in a regular deadlift. This is going to accentuate the work that you're doing for calves when you're deadlifting. And this is going to do it in a very functional, very strength-oriented fashion. So basically what you want to do here, set up a trap bar deadlift just like you normally would in any other kind of situation. What you're going to do here is take either a thick bumper plate, like a 45-pound bumper plate, or a single step riser, and set that down right towards one side of the trap bar. Now, what you're going to do here is set one foot up on here and the other foot down on the floor. When you're doing the exercise, you are basically going to come up, pull the weight, continue extending that ankle. So the idea here is to keep your hips level, to keep your shoulders level, but as you're doing it, in order to do that and come all the way to the top and not keep this leg bent, you're actually going to come up and do basically a single leg calf raise at the same time. Now, because you're loading this, you really want to accentuate and really push through all the way to the top, really focusing on getting a strong contraction in through the calves as you're doing this. It's really actually quite good, and one of the best uses of calf training that I've found, actually, in terms of function, in terms of developing power and basically explosiveness. So this is a very practical one. I'm going to give you a quick demo here, and yes, my calves suck. I'll tell you that straight up right now. I've tried to work them, I've tried to build them. This, I think, could actually help, but yeah, they're not great. So here's what it looks like. So I've got 405 on the bar here, which is a pretty decent weight. And you don't want to go full power with this because the calves, you do want to get a full contraction at the top. So you can see I've got a staggered stance right here, one high, one on the floor. Now, I'm going to shift the other one over and continue. Alright, so that's what the technique looks like. Now, you definitely want to use a trap bar for this one. Try to use a straight bar because your feet are at different heights. It's going to actually throw off as you're trying to get the bar around the knees. So don't use a straight bar, use the trap bar. You could potentially do dumbbell deadlifts. That would be better than using a straight bar for these. Now, key point as you're doing this, keep those hips square, keep the shoulders square, and focus on using that calf to power out of that bottom position. That's really the key with this exercise. That's why we're doing it. That's how we're working the calves here. So come up and push all the way through so you're holding that contraction at the top. You might find as you're doing this, you tend to slide over to the non-calf side. You can remedy this by focusing on shifting that weight back over to the calf side when you're holding that contraction, getting a bit more contraction in those calves. Lower down and then repeat. You can do one set all on one side, take a rest, and then shift it over to the other side. That's totally fine. Or you can do like I did, 3 reps here, 3 reps there, back to back. Whichever you want to do, either way is wrong. Just make sure you're keeping it even on both sides. So now that I've showed you how to do these with heavier weight, with one foot on the floor, one foot elevated, we're going to also elevate the calf working side. And to do this, we're going to put one plate down here and then have 2 plates over on this side. You will need a lighter weight because you're going to be starting from a lower position. And you're going to be doing basically a full range calf raise on this side as you're doing the exercise. So 4 foot here, this is set forward by about 5 or 6 inches so that your feet are still in line, but just the forefoot is sitting on the front edge of that plate. So this is a more calf raise, full range calf raise focused version of the exercise. And like I said, you will need to use a bit lighter weight. I've got 225 on here right now. So one foot right here on the edge of that on that plate. The other foot right up on top of these two plates, just as you normally would. Get that stretch at the bottom. So to give you the best idea of how this works and how this is set up, I'll give you a close-up view here. So for these ones, I would actually recommend you take a brief rest in between so that your deadlift strength is not limiting your calf work. Now, as you can see, I've got the one stack with 2 plates shifted over here. I've got the one plate shifted up so that the hole here and this front edge is basically right in line with each other. So one foot set on top, the other foot set right on the lead edge. So as you can see, mimicking a calf raise block. Then perform the exercise just like you normally would, which is to say completely abnormally. And then so that's the calf raise deadlift. And as weird as it looks, phenomenal calf training. So give this one a shot. I think you're going to like it.